Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Hello and welcome to the show, episode 713. The one and only Jesse Leach of Killswitch Engage fame is my guest, and we got a great show planned for you today. We got a lot to talk to Jesse about, and Killswitch Engage has a brand new album called This Consequence. The album slaps, and it's coming out February 21st, so not long now until the album drops, and we cannot wait. We're actually going to do a big review / listening party over on our Patreon for the executive producer tier level. If you want to head on over to the Jasta Show Patreon page, it is patreon.com/Jasta, and you will get early episodes. You will get extra content like the Weekly Metal Roundup podcast with Nick, who has obviously played on my Jasta records and plays in the band Many Eyes. And then also I do the by Patreon for Patreon shows weekly where we keep the conversation going and I answer all the fan questions and talk about all the stuff we can't talk about on the public show like today. But listen, thank you so much for supporting our sponsors and for supporting the podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, especially if you're watching on YouTube. And if you enjoyed today's show, remember today's show is brought to you by Unbeaten Records. Big thanks to Unbeaten Records. Make sure you head on over to their Merch Now page. The link will be in the show notes as well, but it's unbeaten.merchnow.com. You'll see you can order a bunch of stuff over there. They got merch and releases from bands like Pure Bliss, bands like Cell from Oklahoma City, also Edict from Rhode Island. They got shorts, they got hoodies, they got vinyl, they got CDs, and you can save on all of it when you use the code UNBEATEN15 at checkout. Also, big thank you to Blast Beats Vinyl. If you don't know about blastbeatsvinyl.com yet, you're slacking. They're an independent, family-owned, online extreme metal distro out of New Jersey, and right now you can save 10% off your first order when you tell them Jasta sent you. Just use the code JASTA10 at checkout. And you'll see when you order, not only do they pack it with extreme care in premium mailers, but they got great shipping prices. No more of those $40 shipping fees trying to order from the European labels and whatnot. Big thanks to blastbeatsvinyl.com. Link is always in the show notes. Oh shit! I forgot to shout out our new patrons. We got new patrons over on patreon.com/Jasta. Got a new executive producer, Carlos V. It doesn't say your full name, Carlos, otherwise I'd give you a shout out, but thank you, Carlos V. Also, Lynn Hang just signed up. Thank you, Lynn. And Robbie. Doesn't say your name, Robbie, but thank you for signing up over at patreon.com/Jasta. Don't forget to also subscribe over at gasdigital.com. That is where the archive lives. So don't go over to Patreon and be like, yo, why can't I hear the Duff McKagan episode? Or why can't I hear this episode? That's all in the archive. 700 plus episodes over at gasdigital.com. Another awesome sponsor I want to shout out and make sure that you support. Make sure you visit their YouTube page, their Bandcamp page. I'm talking about Upstate Records. That's right. Upstate New York. So just go to upstateny.com. They got new singles announced from Decoy, a track called Becoming, coming out February 7th. They will, by the time you'll hear this, maybe you'll hear the new Heavy is the Head single. The song's called For Your Loss. And then, of course, they have the Concrete CD, Mortualis. They got tees, they got vinyl. They got a bunch of stuff over there at upstaterecordsny.com. Of course, I got to shout out Milwaukee Metal Fest. Get your tickets at therave.com/metalfest. We will be announcing the next 10 bands very soon. Great chance to get your lover or loved one or friend. If you're in the friend zone, I feel bad for you, but listen, get them Valentine's Day Milwaukee Metal Fest tickets, and maybe you'll get out of the friend zone. Go to MilwaukeeMetalFestival.com or just go to metalfest.com. That's right, metalfest.com or therave.com/metalfest. Last but certainly not least, big thanks to IndieMerchStore.com. Make sure you head on over to IndieMerchStore.com after the podcast today with Jesse Leach and use the promo code JASTA10 to save on all their upcoming pre-orders, plus all the restocks of all the great classic designs and a ton of great catalog from bands like Cattle Decapitation, Carnifex, Brand of Sacrifice, Behemoth, and many others. Oh, I almost forgot. Thrash Thursday tickets. We added 10 tickets for this Thursday. If you're hearing this Tuesday or Wednesday, we added 10 tickets. Try to grab them at martyrstore.net or come see us February 20th. We'll be doing another Thrash Thursday show with Tommy Victor from Prong will be our guest. Get your tickets and get your merch over at martyrstore.net. Link is in the show notes. As always, big thanks to Jesse Leach for doing this podcast with us. Now on to the show. Jesse Leach back on the show finally after many, many, many years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Good to see you, man. Thank you for the time.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it. How you doing?
And I'm doing good, man. I gotta say, I am impressed with this record. I'm always a stickler for the opener and the closer. Like I want to hear a new, like I think every new album you got to have at least an opener for the set, a new opener and a new closer. Now, what would you say those songs would be? Because I went and listened for the second time and I'm going through the album and I got to Where It Dies and I was like, why wasn't this the opener?
Yeah, dude, Where It Dies. I love the intro to that. The instrumentals what made me even want to do that song. As soon as I heard it, it reminded me of like the first instrumental on the first Killswitch record. It's got that thrash feel, but it's still got its roots in hardcore. I love that song. And lyrically, that song is just angry and pissed off. There's zero PMA in that song.
Yeah, it's like classic Killswitch, but with a little bit of a heel turn.
Yeah, no, I love that song. That's definitely got to be in the set. And to me, Broken Glass is another one that has to make the set just because it's so different. It's quick, it's fast, it's angry. I'm into the angry ones on this record. Loving it.
Yeah, see, when I got to that, I was like, wait, is this a Crowbar cover? Because I knew you dudes were Crowbar fans.
Yes.
But Abandon Us is a solid, very solid opener. And I actually felt that should be the first single. Not that I didn't like the first single, because I knew kind of what you were doing with the first single. I was like, wait, is this like a little Trojan horse to get those like stickler people who want Killswitch to just be a straight heavy band? Although you have some melody in there too, but it seemed like it was more focused on the heavy.
I think it just sounds like a more well-rounded kind of Killswitch song, but the next single that's dropping soon is going to piss a lot of people off because it's not that heavy. It's heavy, but it's not. It's like the least heavy on the record. But you know what? I don't care. I love this record, and I love all the different things we pick and choose to stylistically. Like that's what makes Killswitch. Either you love us or you don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't care anymore. I'm stoked on this record, and I think we kind of nailed it with like our styles, like grabbing from all the things that we're inspired by.
Yeah, you got blast beats in there. You got the fucking the tambourine in there right out of the gate. I was like, all right, Tambo Central over here. Timmy Tambo on the fucking tambourine. But I was like,
Adam D loves his tambourine. Yeah, rock and roll.
He really does. But what was the discussions like when you were talking about the singles, and why aren't those two that we already talked about, Abandon Us and Where It Dies, why aren't those singles?
Because you got five guys that all have very different opinions. That's why. Yeah, I agree. To me, I just come out 3 in a row bangers. To me personally, that's what I would do, and then save the sort of hooky poppy one for the last. But it is what it is, man. We all have a strategy, on how we want to do things. So hopefully we just slowly bait people in. But I'm at the opinion we should just drop the record. Like this whole teaser thing is cool and all, but I feel like at this day and age, just drop the record, just get it out.
Yeah, and then the fans find the songs they need to find, even though I know we're manipulated by these algorithms and some playlists won't give a certain song or a certain band a look, which is kind of weird to me. I never felt like the Spotify suggested artists or the, listeners listen to other artists. I never felt like those were accurate.
Yeah, it's generated by a freaking computer. It's not like you have a DJ that has tasted music that's showing you what to listen to, like on college radio. That's why I used to love listening to college radio, especially when it came to hardcore and punk and death metal. I discovered a lot of shit that I love from like college radio.
I know. Think about the playlisting of college radio in the late 80s, early 90s, where you could go and you would hear the major label releases like White Zombie or Nirvana because they had maybe played the indie releases, like maybe they played something off Bleach, like Negative Creep or something when it was on Sub Pop, but then they felt like, okay, we got to give something off of Nevermind a look. And same with White Zombie. And then you would hear something like Uniform Choice or Bad Brains, and you go, wow. But that was a lot, a lot of that had to do with like we had, Damon at WNHU. Shout out to Damon. It had to do with the curator. But yeah, when I listened to this record start to finish, and on the second time, I did kind of think, oh yeah, from your sort of DJ set standpoint, this record is sequenced like almost like a DJ set, whereas I would have done the 3 hitters out of the gate. Like I'm a big 3-piece and a soda right out of the gate type of guy. Like I want my Dead Embryonic Cells, my Desperate Cry, and my Arise, like right out of the gate. But
great choice.
There is something to be said about the spacing it out and having so when it came to the sequence, do you feel like it's your sequence, or did everybody have
everybody has a say? But as far as the track listing and the album, I kind of laid out the blueprint myself, and my mindset was picturing 15-year-old me with my cassette Walkman skateboarding and having the side A and the side B. So if you listen to the record with that in mind, it's a side A, side B record for sure. But we're a democracy, so we discuss these things, and believe it or not, it's very important to us. The track listing, the singles, the way the format is on the album, like all of that stuff, all 5 of us we discuss it intently. It's not just like, whatever. Nobody's like that in this band when it comes to that stuff, which is cool. And we may differ, but at the end of the day, it's like when it's done, we've put our work in. And I look back on this record, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what we wanted to do. It's perfect.
And did you have songs that didn't make the cut? Was there a lot of pre-production tracks? Why did these all make the cut?
I think they all made the cut because sonically they made sense, and lyrically it sort of fit under the umbrella of This Consequence. That title came in later on. Mike D and I always talk about the artwork, and he asks if I have any ideas, and he asked me to send the lyrics I have those so far, and we kind of went back and forth. He came up with the title, and then the concept just kind of all fell into place. So the 4 songs that were left off, they're all great songs. I don't even consider them B-sides. They could have made the record, and they'll eventually be released. We talked about doing 7 inches or like something fun to release them, but it ended up coming down to wanting to like hit it and quit it, get it in quick. So like 10 songs, make people want more, and they all sort of need to make sense together. So the 4 that we left out just didn't make the cut, but again, to me, they're not B-sides at all. They're great songs that I can't wait. Especially one of them is very different for us. It is actually more of a, you mentioned Crowbar, which we all love, but it's definitely more of like a doom sort of stonery kind of song for Killswitch. And that one, I can't wait. There's even like a Danzig vibe on one of those songs. But sonically, I think these 10 just made sense.
Right on. Did you do any covers?
No covers. No covers, no guest vocals. We started out this album being like, oh, we're going to grab a bunch of guest vocals. It's going to be fun. And when it came down to it, as we were making this record, we're like, let's just put out a record that's just us and show people who we are right now. No covers, no guest vocals, just new era, new logo even, like whole new thing that to us this is pushing. It's a bunch of older guys feeling their age going, we got to do something that shows people, shows ourselves first and foremost. We still got it. And then number 2, like, showing the audience, like, we're not going to slow down. We're not going to put out a record that's boring. We're not going to lean on the melody and kind of mellow out. We're ready. This is a new era of Killswitch.
Yeah, you can hear it. I mean, definitely it felt inspired, and I like that. I like when you can put on a record from an established band who you know very well, and it doesn't just feel like those previous elements you've heard on all the other records. Like I did like that about this, and even though I'm only on my second listen, I could tell that. right out of the gate. I didn't really zoom in on the artwork because I'm always sort of like, all right, it's I love Mike D's artwork, but it to me, when I zoomed in, and no disrespect to Mike, I was like, is this a pirate? Is this a skull? I couldn't tell. I'm on my phone. I don't have my glasses.
Yeah.
But
All good.
I always feel like Mike D's gonna bring, something to the table where you're gonna want to own the vinyl, you're gonna want to get a print of it and hang it up. Like I have a bunch. He's done stuff for me too on my label, and he's done stuff for like the Jasta split. We did a split with All That Remains. When you mentioned, saving those songs for splits, I thought about that. Like, oh yeah, that would be cool. So then Mike can do, collectible covers for the splits. But
Exactly.
did you think about maybe doing that with one of the bands from the upcoming tour, like a Kublai Khan or a Fit for a King, or who's the other one? Frozen Soul.
Frozen Soul. Yeah. Frozen Soul. We all stoked to have those guys out. All those bands. No, I think for us, again, standalone, I think we're really all about standing alone right now as a band. So I think if anything, those will come out as like exclusive. My hope is exclusive 7 inches on vinyl with its own t-shirt design, and like put one out, wait a month and a half, put the next one out. So at the end of the album cycle, you can stagger it out and continue to like promote the record with even songs that didn't make the cut. But yeah, you mentioned the art.
Or would you follow up quickly, like maybe put those 4 on the next album?
No, I think we want to stagger it and have the in between, especially since it was, almost 6 years between records. The time in between, put those songs out and continue playing out. And as we start to work on the next record, I assume, because we don't want that much time in between records. But again, the time it took was worth it. And, it's funny, I thought of you. We had a lot of lyric police on this record. There's a lot of Jesse can't use fire. No fire, nothing. There's no fire analogies.
No rise.
Don't say burn. Yeah. I mean, Rise has been out for a long time, but no burning, no fires. And you can't go heavy on the nautical themes. No drowning, no choking. So there was a whole bunch of stuff that I was unable to use. So it had me in the thesaurus a lot. So I really expanded my vocabulary. So if you go through with a fine tooth comb, these are different lyrics too for Killswitch intentionally.
Yeah. There was no citations as far as I heard. I didn't read along with it. As far as I heard for the second listen, I didn't read along with it. But the nautical themes, when I was trying to zoom in on the cover, I was like, wait, maybe it is a pirate. Maybe it is like a dead pirate. What? And I'm sorry, Mike. Mike D knows I love him. What is on the cover though? What is that image? I don't know.
We've been back and forth with the idea, and he was sending me this artist that makes these robotic sculptures that look like, ancient ruins of robotic culture or something. And I think it really plays well with where we are now with AI, how bands are actually leaning on that for artwork, which is, I don't understand that at all. So you could glance at this and think, oh, it looks AI, but it's not. It's actual sculptures of these robot-like creatures that were mailed to Mike D. So we had a sculpture make them. I can't remember his name right now, but you can look it up in the artwork when it comes out. And Mike had them mailed to his house and then displayed them out and had Jeremy Stafford take a bunch of photos of them. So it's actual photos of actual sculptures. And the idea of it is, I was very much in the mindset of like post-apocalyptic, Terminator, 1984, They Live. Like that was kind of the mindset of like, oh, what are we going to make this record all about? It's like the aftermath of, the apocalypse, or the aftermath of the pandemic, really lyrically is where I was coming from. Recovering, building from the ashes. So it's very much a commentary on the death of the robotic age. So it's kind of like post-future, and it's just different. I like that too. It's just very different from the animals and the women and all the things we've had on our album covers. It just felt like a total step in a different direction.
Oh my God, I got it now. I pulled it up. I was totally, I see where I fucked up. So I was seeing like the fingers of the hand coming out of the face. I was looking at the face in a different angle. Like, so if I thought it was the pirates guy, I thought it was tentacles coming out of the thing, but now
Maybe
I see it.
We'll do the pirate core thing, the scurvy thing.
Shout out to scurvy. But now I see it. You're right. It's like a Terminator. It's like a Terminator graveyard or something.
Yeah. Like the aftermath of the robots being destroyed, sort of Terminator 2 kind of thing.
Right. It's funny that you mentioned They Live because I watch They Live at least 3 times a year, and I was just making shirts. Like, I make shirts for myself
Yeah.
and like just funny shirts. I just print one of, but then people will see me wearing it and go, "Hey, where'd you get that shirt?" And so I made this one that says They Live is a documentary. And and
Oh,
maybe I
yeah.
gotta put maybe I gotta send you one and put those on the store. Right? I mean, it's
I would
like
totally rock that, dude. I would totally rock that. I was thinking about doing that with Idiocracy. That feels like a documentary these days too.
yeah, true. Hey, everybody, this episode is brought to you by blastbeatsvinyl.com. That's right, blastbeatsvinyl.com, an independent family-owned online extreme metal distro out of New Jersey. They import from top European labels so you can dodge those brutal $40 shipping fees, from big names to deep underground, including limited color runs and exclusives. Each vinyl's packed with extreme care in premium mailers. For 10% off your first order, tell them Jasta sent you. Just use the code JASTA10 at checkout. Big thanks to blastbeatsvinyl.com. While I have your attention, also support our Milwaukee Metal Fest sponsor and longtime Jasta Show sponsor, IndieMerchStore.com. Check out IndieMerchStore.com after the show today. You can pre-order the Cradle of Filth, the Screaming of the Valkyries coffin box set before it sells out. They got the vinyl. They got the t-shirts. They got the CDs. This thing comes with a fucking feather pen. Wait till you see this. It reminds me, I got to get Danny Filth back on the podcast. Big thanks to IndieMerchStore.com. Use the promo code JASTA10. Now back to the show. So let's talk about this tour real quick. This is just the first teaser tour, right? Because I had heard about the other tour that's not announced yet, which this is coming out pretty soon, so we probably can't talk about it. Yeah. But there's like the Killswitch Shadows Fall mini tour.
Yeah.
Then there's the Killswitch Kublai Khan Fit for a King Frozen Soul full tour, right?
Yeah.
And then there's another tour that's not announced, correct?
Right. That's the A market. So we're doing like the B's and C market, the smaller off the beaten path towns and cities. And then summer will cover the major cities. And that's the banger tour with a killer lineup. Yeah.
And that might be a band, might or might not be a band that Adam D produced at one point. another very big band. I sign up for the Patreon if you want spoilers on the Patreon, but no spoilers here.
Can't do it. I'll get in trouble.
But so you're not doing any European festivals this year?
No festivals this year, but we're getting over there to do dates. We're doing a mainland Europe, and then we're doing a UK, Northern Ireland, splitting it up because we don't want to be over in Europe for more than 4 weeks at a time. I should say they don't. I don't care as much. Got a couple guys who just get tired of Europe after a while. It's probably just the time change, the jet lag, and the weather. So we're doing 2 separate legs, and then we have a Northern European. So I guess it's 3, but we're hitting all of Europe as well on this year.
When are those?
Those will be in the autumn, so like October, November, December.
Wow. Okay.
Which
Scandinavia
is
too.
Yeah, I know. Which is also a fun time to go to Northern Europe. Right. Perfect.
And any hint on the lineup?
No, that's not even nailed in yet. Now that we're still discussing that stuff.
Okay, word up. All right, yeah, because I was wondering if you were going to be around. I asked Tim, our buddy from Sound Talent. I said, shouldn't Jesse DJ at Milwaukee Metal Fest? But I guess you already.
Damn.
I guess you're already.
It's Metal Fest for that shit.
Fuck yeah. No, and I think we were trying to get you last year too. I don't know what happened. I think it's a hard time because it falls right on the weekend of like Welcome to Rockville and Sonic Temple's the week before. So yeah, but I knew
we were knee deep in the record during that time. That's probably why I was in my do not disturb, trying to get this record done mode at that point. But that's awesome.
Right on.
Thanks for thinking of me, man. That's really cool.
Well, we can do it for 2026. We're coming back for 2026. We're going to have an even bigger lineup for 2026. This year, we have Down, we got Zach Wild, Devin Townsend, we got Guar, we got Arch Enemy. But next year,
that's
it's gonna
sick.
be even. Yeah, it's gonna be even bigger. Now, were you ever an Acid Bath fan?
Oh yeah, love Acid Bath.
So you've seen now, I think in the last 3 decades, we've had At the Gates go away, they come back bigger than ever, right? They start a whole scene, right? Like they go away, and then all the At the Gates inspired bands went and got big.
Yep. Yeah, and dude, you can't touch At the Gates. Is like, to me, Slaughter of the Soul is an untouchable record. Untouchable.
For sure. Then you had like a band like Refused, same thing, goes away. Like I remember when they sounded like Strife. Like we played with them when it was like a straight edge band.
Yeah, the early days. Yeah.
Yeah. They go away, come back, headline Coachella, right? Headline fucking, I mean, just huge European festivals. So Acid Bath goes away, and I remember because it was a weird time, like, and they were ahead of their time.
Yeah, and they've gotten crazy offers to come back and have said no. I think it was Dax Riggs, the guy. He's like, not doing it. So is that
He was
happening?
the holdout. He was the holdout. So they're back.
What?
And
that's ridiculous.
And props.
When?
Yeah. It's I think you might even be on some of the dates.
Get the hell out.
It's all the big stadium fests, right? So it's like 60 to 80,000 cap, Incarceration, Rockville. So we're a little fest. We're literally a ballroom. We're 4,000 cap in the ballroom if you're lucky. I mean, 4,000.
Is it the Eagles ballroom? Is that where it is?
Yeah, 4,000 like good Charlotte fans, 3,000 Hatebreed, Killswitch, Lamb of God fans, right? Because the 2X, 3X takes up more space. So, right. So of course everybody's got to break my balls. How do you not get Acid Bath? Whatever. I said, listen, if you went away for 30 years and you had one chance at the comeback, why would you play to 4,000 people when you can play to 80,000 people with Mastodon and Metallica? Like, it has nothing to do with me. Like, I'm so happy for them. Give them their flowers. Make all the money that you could have made over the last 30 years, make it in a month.
True, but you know that there would have been a vibe if they did that show. The like smaller shows are vibes. 80,000 people is great, and you and I both know how fun that can be, but you also can't beat a few thousand people who are hardcore, like, into it. That would have been sick.
True. But to pay the bills for a long time.
Yeah.
When you have, because independent promoters, they don't have even a fraction of the budget to pay for a reunion like that. But I guess my question is this: did you ever think about like just breaking the band up for 10 years and coming back and just is that the way to go?
I for some people, I'm sure it is, man. But for me, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I honestly wouldn't know what to do with myself. I'd have to start another band. I don't know. I couldn't sit still for that long. I haven't been on tour for, I don't know, a couple months now, and I'm like already stir crazy. I need the balance of the two. I don't think I could take that long of a break, but you're right. Bands that do that, they cash in. But also, like, what are you doing in the meantime? Like, I'm good. I'd rather be just touring consistently. I'm into it. I don't care if it's a little lower than, the hundreds of thousands or whatever. I'm happy. I like what we're doing. I do hope we get to raise the bar with this record, but I don't know, man. To me, it's all about the vibes. The money's great. Don't get me wrong. I love it, but I'm all about vibes. Shows that are small. Like, we just did Iron Maiden in Australia, and those off shows when we played in front of like 500 people in Australia, they're some of the best shows we've ever played in our career. Like, they were insane. The crowd was insane. So I wouldn't trade that for an arena.
So that is because you haven't been there in how many years, though?
Yeah, actually, that's facts too. Yeah, that's true.
I just wonder about the law of diminishing returns. No, don't get me wrong. I'm in the same boat with you. Like, we went out on our 30th anniversary tour, and we went out in a crazy oversaturated period where you got literally Creator and Testament the night before in the same venue, and then you have Knocked Loose and Drain the night after down the road, and then you have Lorna Shore and White. I mean, it was so oversaturated, but it was awesome. Like, we had a great time. But I do think is less more. Like, we've done these, I know you said it was 6 years with the album cycle, but also you put out other shit during that time, right? Like, you did Times of Grace during that time, or no? Was that? Yeah.
Yeah, we did, but no one gave a shit. But yeah, we did put out a record. No one gave a shit.
When you say no one gave a shit, why? It didn't meet the expectations? I felt like the fans dug it.
Yeah, I guess so. I just wanted to get out and tour on that record too, but there was just no time. I guess I'm just disappointed. I think it's one of the best things Adam and I have ever done, because it does, talk about pushing boundaries. Like, there's like alternative rock songs in that record. I'm stoked on it. But yeah, we didn't get to give it the attention it deserved. Killswitch album overshadowed it. And then obviously putting out anything during the pandemic, you're automatically shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, what would have been the ideal support slot to get to a different set of ears and eyes on that?
I would have at least liked to do a couple weeks in the States, LA, Chicago, New York, special intimate shows. That would have been great. And then maybe London. We talked about it, but the record just took over. Obviously Killswitch takes main priority. So when the window of opportunity was there, it was like dead in the middle of making this record. And I couldn't switch gears. To me, the Killswitch record was number one, obviously. But yeah, I mean, maybe one day we'll be able to do like, intimate stuff, just little runs here and there, six dates through to the UK, 6 in the US. I don't want that project to die. I do think it's very special, but realistically right now, it's just gotta be on the shelf.
Does that project provide more value if it was a situation where you're not exposed financially, where maybe you can go with a more radio friendly band like a Hailstorm or an I Prevail, or would it need to be something more like a Blackstone Cherry, or like what would be the ideal team?
I feel like those audiences really, some of those songs are a little more artistic. I mean, when I say alternative rock, I don't necessarily mean those types of bands. I think a couple of songs could fit in with that repertoire for sure. But, one of the tracks on the record, Far From Heavenless, to me sounds more like a throwback to like, ISIS and like, sort of the post-rock thing than a radio rock thing. But, budget-wise, yeah, I mean, touring is expensive. For us to put Times of Grace on the road, it would come out of our own pockets 100%, because Adam can't, with his back and all his issues, do anything but a tour bus. And tour buses are not cheap. So if you're not on the level where you can afford a tour bus, it's not going to happen. And I'm not shelling out $100,000 to go on tour. I love what we do, but the timing isn't right. So if we could go out with a band that could afford to give us a budget, I would do it. But to find that right audience, it's interesting. Times of Grace kind of rides the line of metal, and then this last record kind of not experimental, but more artistic rock, I guess. I don't know, but we'll see.
Right? Like, would it work? Yeah. Would it work with like an Amorphous or Lacuna Coil, or would it have to be somebody more in the post-hardcore like Quicksand or Thursday? I mean,
I could see all four of those names you just, I think, would make more sense than the Blackstone Cherries and the, like that more rocks, especially bluesy. Although there are elements of blues in that too. It's hard to say, man. Yeah, I'd have to sit and think about it. But maybe one day the live show will see the light of day. And we are going to add, in addition to, we're going to add like organ on stage. Like, we're trying to like push it to, it's Killswitch is here and Times of Grace is way over here. So if we do anything moving forward, I could even see an acoustic release. I could see us doing more diverse stuff. And to me, that's fun. I like that. I like setting us apart. And creatively, I need more than just doing this one thing. Even if it doesn't do anything, just projects, which is why I've been like doing a ton of guest vocals lately. It's just fun to do different things.
Yeah, tell us about the guest spots and how does someone get a hold of you if they want to collaborate?
Yeah. So right now I'm not taking any submissions. I've probably got about 12 songs currently that I still need to wrap up. I think I've done about 6 or 7. I just put myself out there. Number one, because it's just good to diversify things. Number two, moving forward, I really want to put myself in a position where I can produce. I can help bands with lyrics and songwriting. I love I love hearing younger bands, seeing the energy, seeing people push the envelope from hardcore to metal to rock. And I reach out to, younger bands and be like, hey, you guys are great. And I might post something on my Instagram, like, check these dudes out. I see myself moving into my older age and wanting to do more behind the scenes stuff. So that's kind of why I initially started doing it. And then I got overwhelmed with the amount of responses I got. So right now my plate is full, but in the next year and a half or so, I'm going to start putting myself out there again, here and there, and just cherry picking little projects to, again, like, help people write better lyrics, help people write better songs. I'll hear a song, as you know, I'm sure you hear a song, you're like, great song. But if you just tweak that here and there, maybe went for that note that's a little higher in the chorus, like, you're going to make people have the chills if you just do that, like helping people write a song where it launches them. And I've seen it already with some of these bands I've worked with. Just being able to take my name and tag it on the project helps their numbers, helps them get more notice. And I love that. It's cool. It's kind of my way of helping out, but yeah, I still get paid for it too. So it's a win-win situation.
Which have been announced? Like, which ones can we give a shout out to now?
Yeah, Ephemera, I think, is the name of the band from the UK. I just did something with, and Revolver just covered them for the first time, which is really cool.
Is that
Man,
EPH? How do you spell that?
yeah. Let me look it up. I got tagged in it recently. I don't, off the top of my head, it's really hard for me to remember this shit.
We
Also,
played one on the Patreon show maybe last year, or the year before, and people were digging that. And the name of the band escapes me now.
yeah, and then Lost Becomes, which is Chef Brian Shaw, my buddy, his hardcore band. They're really good. What the hell?
Shout out to Brian.
All right, so Ephemera is EPHEMERA. Good, like, UK hardcore, emotive hardcore. I love it. It's cool. It's different. And then there was I did like this really heavy one. Sling Blade out of Georgia. Good sludgy, like, it's me just doing straight up death metal vocals. It's heavy. I think it's called something blue. I can't remember the name of it. It's hard.
Right on.
I'm doing 2 or 3 songs a day at this point now. So
nice. That's awesome. I was watching something last night and I was like, hey, that's Sling Blade. It was called Oil Man. And I'm like, that's the dude from Sling Blade. And then I'm like, wait, doesn't Randy know this fool? And then I text Randy. I'm like, yo, your boy Billy Bob, he's in this show, right? Was Billy Bob Sling Blade?
I don't know. I'm talking about the band. I don't know about the.
No, I know, but the movie.
The movie, yeah, I don't remember, dude. It's been a long time since I've seen that. I can see the face in my head, but was it Billy Bob? I don't know. I don't remember.
I think Sling Blade was what put Billy Bob on. I think Sling Blade was getting him those digits from Homegirl.
Right. I just see the jaw, protruding jaw.
Yeah.
That's all I can remember. I'm getting old, man. My memory's not so good anymore.
If you had to name a band after a movie, what movie would it be?
Die Hard, which is already a Cleveland hardcore band, Integrity. By the way, if anyone's never heard, look it up. I think you can find on YouTube the vocals on that Die Hard EP. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's hard.
Save Earth, crumbling fast, mankind abused, it won't last. It's like, save our Earth, no. Just like old school Cleveland hardcore. Love it. Like the pink baseball bats. Yeah. Die Hard. That's a hard name. We're talking about hard. That's a hard name. I wish I was in a band called Die Hard.
There was at one point there was definitely like 7 or 8 diehards. There was 7 or 8 paybacks. I remember back in the day when we were touring and people would give you the demo tape or people would give you the CD. You'd go on one US tour but it was pre-Google and pre-internet. So you'd mix it up. You go, wait, there's another there's you know what I mean? Like there were Mean Streak. I remember there was a couple of those. We had
a favorite pastime in the Killswitch camp. We would stack them all and take a day where we drink beers and listen to all the demos. Super fun.
Guys, you know Jesse Leach is down for the course, so he would not mind us interrupting today's chat to let you know today's episode is brought to you by Unbeaten Records. That's right. Check out Unbeaten Records Merch Now page after the podcast today over at unbeaten.merchnow.com. You'll see they have long sleeves, hoodies, t-shirts, vinyl, shorts, and much more from bands like Edict from Rhode Island, Pure Bliss, and also Cell. Check them all out. I've listened to them all. They're killer. Unbeaten Records is bringing a ton of great hardcore releases to light, and we appreciate their support. Unbeaten.merchnow.com. Use the promo code unbeaten15. While I have you, make sure you go get your tickets to Thrash Thursday. That's right, Thrash Thursday is coming up. And we're going to announce another show very soon for March and April. Leave a comment if you think we should come to your town and bring the Thrash Thursday show. There's 10 tickets left. If you want to come to the one Thursday, you might have already missed it, but we'll see, Buster. Otherwise, come out Thursday, February 20th with Tommy Victor from Prong and our buddies in High Command coming down from Worcester. Martyrstore.net. Link is in the show notes. Now back to the show. Dude, I went back because I used to say I have it all archived now, but I had to get rid of a bunch of shit. But I went back and looked through like the actual letters, and those were a trip. There was some, like Cave In. There was there were some bands in there that I was like, damn, I missed this. I could have signed them. Like I could have done some shit with them.
That's what back in the day, man. I love that shit.
You mentioned Cleveland, and I was gonna say something about Die Hard or Integrity. Now I just fucking lost my train of thought.
Shout out to Integrity, man. I saw them at New England Hardcore Metal Fest for the first time. I've been an Integrity fan since I was 14, and I got to see Dwid do his thing live. And Dwid's voice live is one of the loudest yells and screams I've ever heard. Badass. It was so. I love Integrity. They're one of those bands that changed everything for me. So big shout out to Dwid and Integrity.
Yeah, and they're having a little bit of a resurgence now too. I've noticed that everything goes in cycles where the new kids will find a record and latch onto it. And I think it also helps now with podcasting and shows like Hard Lore and just internet sites or Instagram accounts or TikTok accounts that you'll see somebody, wearing one of the shirts, and it's like we're kind of back to that where, oh, so-and-so's wearing this shirt. Let me go check out a band. And I love that because that's how it used to be. You would open the back of the cassette or the back of the CD or the vinyl, and you see, T-Bone from Obituary is wearing an Atheist shirt or Nasty Savage. Let me go listen to that. And I'm seeing that a lot with Integrity and Ringworm too, right? Because Ringworm now I feel like is bigger than they ever were.
And the Human Furnace, and talk about a great sounding vocal. Like nobody sounds like the Human Furnace. Loved his voice so hard. And the two of them together on the Humanity is a Devil, dude. That record. Yeah.
Yeah. And and you know what I like about this, some of the new scenes and some of the new waves of bands coming out is it kind of reminds me of how diverse the old scenes were. I like that that's coming back. I feel like that's a really strong thing to focus on. Like when you hear, if you go look, say at whatever, like the late 90s or even mid 90s, Snapcase didn't sound like Earth Crisis. VOD didn't sound like E-Town. Ringworm didn't sound like Integrity. You go to the California stuff, Ignite didn't sound like Strife. The strength is in the difference between the bands. And that's one reason why I love Patreon, because people will send me new bands and it'll be a band that's derivative of any one of those bands that I just named.
Yeah.
But they're putting their own, yeah. And I like that. I think we need more of that. I don't like when it's so tunnel vision of like, no, I only like these style of black metal bands, or I only like these style of deathcore bands. But also it is a good, if you get to that point in your career where people are saying, okay, this band sounds like this band, then that's a good thing too, right? Because then that can open you up.
Yeah, I'm all about it, man. I love the diversity, and I love everything from punk to death metal. I like when bands lean on a punk two-step melody in the middle of anything. the thing that sort of gets to me after a while, I love heavy music, don't get me wrong, I love it. But sometimes the riffs, even the way the guitar sounds, it's just the samey, just too much of the same. It bores me,
But
dude.
samey for you is not samey for the 17-year-old who hasn't expanded his
Yeah,
collection yet.
I get that. No, I get that for sure, man, for sure. I just think I don't know. I get, yeah, probably just 'cause I'm old, right? We've been at this for so freaking long that I hear a band, I'm like, oh, that's been done so many times. But you're right. If you're 17 years old and you don't know about the scene, you don't know about the bands that started that sound, that's exciting for you. I get that for sure.
Like I have a death metal and elitist friend who doesn't like the deathcore, and I'm like, you're just closed-minded. It's just
Because some of those bands are great, dude. You can't discount all of them.
you can't. And even though you can say some of it's derivative of other bands, there are bands out there, newer bands that are coming up. These kids are like 20 or 22 or 23. So they might have their gateway band and they're not at that point where they know those other bands yet. Like,
Yeah,
or
give
they're,
them like 2 or 3 albums and they'll figure it out. That's usually how it goes, right?
right. Or if you look at a band like someone on my Patreon sent me this band Torture, who have a political leaning. So they're doing like the deathcore, death metal, and but the lyrics are different. So yes, you could say it's the death metal elitists that don't like it. They could say, "Oh, the riffs are samey or they're stock or whatever." That's fine, but the lyrics aren't. They're not doing misogynistic lyrics. They're doing political lyrics. So there you go. They're already trying to do something different. You got to commend them for at least that. And but I think the more guys like you and me go to these other older guys or guys that are even in their late 30s, they don't want to hear like us to telling them open their mind.
Oh, yeah. I get it. No, I get it. I know my place. That's why I don't say a lot of shit online. I keep pretty quiet. I only like do the positive. If I see a band I dig, I give them a thumbs up and I'll repost them. I'm not there to complain or like, if the kids are pushing and they're doing their things and they're being creative, then all power to them. The kids are all right with me, man.
Well, you have a very cool package of bands coming up on both of those runs where you could say, I mean, I know by now, like Kublai Khan is so big now where they're at that point where the elitists they have to thumb their nose up at them, right? Like that's something you'll see because
it's starting to get fire. That's why it's so annoying, but you can't touch that. That band's awesome. Yeah. Texas
that's the sign of true success though.
Yeah, Texas is on fire right now with that thrash scene. It's so cool. I feel like right now is a really good time for thrash, and right now is a really good time for hardcore when it comes to young bands. Like there's a lot of it going on right now. It's catching a lot of fire, and I'm into it.
But also a band like Fit for a King, they're not new. I mean, I remember seeing them on a Warped Tour, the Warped Tour that we did, and I was like, wow, these are little kids, and it's fucking tuned to like G. It was heavy as hell. I was like, this is great. They're going, and it's got a little like new metal feel too, but even that's having a resurgence. So they were one that I was impressed with on Warped Tour. But to guys like us, they're still new. Like Kublai Khan and Fit for a King are new. Frozen Soul is new, and it's always new to someone. Right?
Yeah.
You're gonna go on that tour and you're gonna do meet and greets every day where some kid is gonna be like, this is my first show. I literally get that every night.
I love that. No, that gives me hope. Honestly, I love it. I love that people have. It just shows that you're continuing to expand your audience, which is a lifesaver. It's a career saver. It's great. I love it.
But why do you go so heavy? Is it because you have to like give yourself a challenge to follow bands like Frozen Soul and Fit for a King and Kublai Khan and even Shadows Fall? You know, they're firing on all cylinders right now. Like, is that it? Why not do what most bands do, which is, let's be honest, you know, bring somebody out that's lighter?
I don't see, to me, like, I choose when those lists come in of like bands that are submitting, like I choose the ones I like. Like I choose the ones that like hit my ears a certain way. Yeah, you want to pay attention to what the promoters are saying and how much they draw. Like that's definitely a factor, but I would rather play with heavy bands than I would lighter bands. Because number one, like I'm just a fan of heavy music. And number two, like it creates an atmosphere. It's fun. I like walking into the club before we go on and like a death metal band's playing. I wish we would take on more heavy stuff. So I think that's a conscious thing. Also, I think too, it sets the bar of energy high My favorite thing is going out side stage before we go on and watching a band destroy it. And then I'm like, all right, that's the vibe we're going for. We got to destroy it too. I like that. I like being challenged. I don't like the headliner bringing out a band they know isn't as energetic, or making sure that their production is shit because they want the headliner to look amazing. Like, I get there's a little bit of like, you can't have quite the same production, but I don't know, man. To me, it's exciting making the entire show a package that from the time the doors open to the time they close, it's quality, it's heavy, it's aggressive, it's got something to it. Every band we choose has something an element that I like. And I think that's important. Don't do it's not just the business. At the end of the day, you got to present something to your fans to show them. When you take a band out, you're co-signing for the most part. Like, you're showing like, hey, we like this band. And I think that's important to do.
Did you guys really turn down the Limp Bizkit tour?
I don't recall even being offered that, honestly. Maybe in the back of my mind, I can't remember if we got offered that. I would think that would be super fun, but I don't know.
I heard that in passing, and I thought, that's just a rumor. It wasn't coming from someone who's particularly.
It doesn't ring a bell. I feel like I would remember if we got offered that.
But okay. Yeah, because I was wondering, I've seen interviews with Fred where, like, I've seen interviews where he shouted us out, like he shouted Hatebreed out. I've seen interviews where he said they want to be the heaviest band on the bill. And then this last summer tour, I was down this Corey Feldman rabbit hole, and I was like, why are they bringing out Corey Feldman? And the audience is like, first of all, the audience was very sparse when Corey Feldman was playing. So I thought, okay, well, so no one's showing up early to see Corey, for at least not on the videos that I saw. Then they had this rapper guy who's hilarious, who I follow, Riff Raff, who I was like, all right, I don't know if he draws. I don't know why he'd be on the tour, but it was going with the theme, right? Because I think the theme was like Loserville. It was like, it's like the Outcasts and the Rejects, and then there was this other guy, Bones, who seemed like really talented. He had the kind of the biggest crowd and had some people vibing, but it's still, on the videos that I looked at on YouTube, it still looked fairly small. And there's no lights on. It's still in the day. But then you see the Limp Bizkit crowd, and it looks like some of the biggest audiences they've ever done in the States, at least in the last, I don't know, 10 years. So they were on a real resurgence. But I did wonder when I saw that, why wouldn't they bring out like a Mirror or some of this new metal revival stuff, like a Fit for a King, or like do you know this band Throne?
No.
They're really good up and coming band that I've played on my Patreon that have that they have some rappy kind of bouncy, really tuned low, some digital, I don't know what you call it, sampling, or maybe effects in there. But so when I see bands like Korn taking out Gojira and Spirit Box, who both, are firing on all cylinders, and I see bands like you taking out Kublai Khan and Frozen Soul and Shadows Fall and Fit for a King, I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, we want to up the game too. We just took out Carcass and fucking who was the other? Crypta. Have you heard Crypta yet?
Yeah.
Oh, Crypta's incredible. And Harm's Way. This guy's out there fucking ready to like bend he's out there ready to like rip phone books and shit.
I love Harm's Way. They're one of my favorite hardcore bands, modern hardcore bands for sure.
Yeah, we got them on Milwaukee Metal Fest. Now, but see, all these bands are super known. Like, when we talk about these bands, people are like, dude, I heard about this band fucking before you. But what's some like real, aside from the ones you did guest spots on, like, what's some real obscure shit that you heard lately that we should check out?
Oh, dude, put me on the spot here. I have to pull up the old playlists. Off the top of my head, it's really hard for me. I will say that I have to give a shout out to this dude, because I feel like he kind of blew up. His name's Black Braid. He's Native American. I don't want to say I discovered him, but I definitely kind of really posted about him a lot. He came out of nowhere to me, left field. Honestly, I didn't even know there was a subgenre of Native American black metal. But when I first heard what he was doing, his first few tracks, and now he's got 3 records out in total, and he's done some pretty extensive touring. I still think that guy needs to get recognition. What he's doing is super cool. The lyrics are about, nature and Native American lore, and it's a bunch of natives on stage playing black metal. It is badass. I love it. I love it. And he's about an hour north of me up in the Adirondacks. So that's the first guy I would just immediately think of. And he's still pretty young, man. We had him when I used to do the podcast, Stoke the Fire. We had him on, and really interesting because he talks about being displaced, not knowing his heritage, and that raised a lot of awareness about a lot of Native American kids who got put into foster care, and just the whole, I don't want to get into it, but the whole horrible way we've treated indigenous people in this country. So yeah, Black Braid is a one I would definitely throw out there immediately as far as like young people who are doing it right.
Yeah, we played them on the Patreon show, and people were digging them too. I that reminds me, I think we were going to send them an offer from Milwaukee Metal Fest last year, and I don't know what happened. We got this band Uada, and they fucking ripped it. They crushed it. They were one of the big standouts.
Malevolence comes up too, by the way. I gotta have to mention those dudes.
Yes, Malevolence. We did the cruise with them. They were absolutely ripped it. They're
so good.
They're on a tour coming up, I think, with Counterparts, and we just played the Counterparts song on our Patreon show. That was hard. They were another one I saw on Warped Tour.
I cut you off. What was the band you were talking about before that? I want to write that down.
Uada. I think it's called Uada. I think it's pronounced Uada. Uada. They were another one that was like a real standout.
Got it. All right.
But speaking of the podcast, how long has it been done? And if we go listen to the archive, like what's your best episode? Like where do we start for someone who wants to go check out your podcast?
I mean, Randy from Lamb of God probably got the most attention. Rob Flynn's episode's really good. This rapper Sage Francis, who I kind of grew up with, is a really good episode. But some of the we had listeners on, so we would do episodes where we'd have like the listeners come on, and some of those stories are just gut wrenching, abuse, addiction, and I don't know. We had a good run, man. It's kind of been on hiatus indefinitely because Matt and I both got really busy, but we had a good run, man. There's a lot of good interviews, and I think they're all still on YouTube. But yeah, if you have, and it's it's pretty deep. I think the topics we touched on, and this sort of, I guess, more serious nature of that podcast kind of was great, but I think that's what sort of ultimately didn't give it the attention it probably deserved. It's not the kind of podcast you put on and you're just entertained by it. It's actually like deep and heavy and can get pretty dark.
Right. So if it's challenging, people need to kind of have the headspace to go. But those people that need to hear that find it, right? Like they will eventually.
Dude. Yeah. And most episodes end off on a high note, and you hear a story of somebody overcoming something. But yeah, off the top of my head, Randy's episode got a ton of love. But yeah, just go down the rabbit hole. If you are a podcast person, you listen to want something new, and maybe you're in a kind of in a rough headspace these days, and you're looking for some perspective. Stoke the Fire has definitely got some good perspective on it for sure. And maybe one day we'll pick it up again. But Matt, my partner in that podcast, is now studying in Scotland for his master's in English literature. He's a real smart dude, and he dropped everything, got sober, and went back to college. So his whole life switched around. And then Killswitch, the album, took over everything. I didn't have the headspace to schedule guests and do all that stuff while making this record because it's all consuming. So maybe someday we'll go back to it.
Right on. Let's do that. You and me. Let's get our degree from like DeVry. Like so we can flex. Like let's go get some. I hate that. Like I hate like you'll see this shit about like the dude from Offspring. Shout out to the dude from Offspring. Todd is my boy. Todd Morse. I love Todd Morse. But fucking Noodles and the other one, Dexter. Like you see, like, oh, he's got a degree in fucking whatever, like medical, I don't know, chemistry, biology, some shit. And I'm like, well, nerds are the problem. So that makes me want to trust the guy less. I'm like, nerds are going to fucking blow the world up. The nerds are why we got into all this fucking problems to begin with. But no, but I do.
Is that a Bill Gates reference, by the way?
Possibly. Well, how deep into the, we're 51 minutes in, so I don't want to get, we're already.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Sorry, I brought it
up. But every time I see the comments, like when someone posts about Offspring, because they did the drummer dirty, I see the like, Dexter's a fucking, he's got a degree from wherever, and I'm like, yo, we need to.
Well. Uh-oh.
Just give him one moment. He'll be right back. Connection seemed to have a problem.
All right, gives me a chance to eat my toast. It's Bill Gates, dude. You mentioned Bill Gates. Shut it down.
Yeah, it was funny. It was right when that was happening.
Hashtag conspiracy theory. Am I still live? Sitting here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're still here.
Hi, everybody. I'm eating my toast.
There he is.
Dude, Bill Gates, shut you down, dude. I can't hear you. Nope.
Still can't. We can't hear you.
It's shut me down real quick. You got to be so careful.
Yeah. He didn't like that, man.
So to end off today's show, we got to go to DeVry and get some flex type. We got to get a flex type degree. And we won't say that it's from DeVry, but then we'll have everybody in the comments being like, no, listen to Jesse. He's got a degree in fucking psychology or whatever, like human psychology from DeVry.
Yeah. Props.
Pull up DeVry right now, Michael. Can we see what how much is it if we got to get our masters in something?
It's like $35 a month.
That's it?
No, I don't know.
DeVry.edu student portal. What's the best online college? Didn't Tommy Lee go back to college for like a TV show?
I have no idea. That sounds awful.
So imagine can you get like an online degree from Harvard? Like, can you go to Harvard online? So that way you could say, listen to Jesse. He's got a fucking degree in psychology from Harvard.
I'm going to say I doubt that you could do that with Harvard. I'm going to say I doubt that.
Because does Harvard still hold weight? Like someone to me, if you came to me and go, oh yeah, I got a degree from Harvard, I'd be like, you're just some fucking Nepo baby. Your parents are rich. Like, I don't know. It doesn't hold any weight with me. I'm like, all I know is that I don't know. So these people, when they act like they do, I'm like,
The only way I'd give respect is if you really earned it. I mean, I get it. Listen, I'm not knocking anybody, man, but there is a lot of blue blood, like Yale, Harvard, that whole thing, like whatever. I don't really care. But if you are somebody who earned that shit, you came from nothing and you got a free ride through there because of your mind, like that's huge. I do give respect to that. But to me, I don't really care what your education is. I've talked to some of the most intelligent people I've ever met that barely graduated high school. That doesn't hold any weight with me. It's so funny. But DeVry, yeah, if you graduate from DeVry, you got my respect, dude.
Well, I just go, well, do you have kids? Do you have a family? Does your family like you? Like, I don't like there's shit that really matters in the world. Whereas, but they think about it. The scam of those Yales and Harvards and all that stuff, The scam is the perception that you are better, the
Yeah.
perception that you, right? Like, and that I think has been lost. And
Yeah.
once the scam is exposed, because you can go, oh no, that's the only way to get a job. I'm like, bro, I know a 17-year-old over here. 17 is making 17-year-old making $6,000 a month with AI and fucking TikTok videos and a YouTube channel he's not even in it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's got more money than the fucking Yale graduate I know.
Yeah.
So,
No doubt, man. The kids who are doing that type of shit, man, much respect. That's a hustle on a whole other level, man.
like the
Doesn't
faceless YouTube channels.
Yeah, amazing. I wish I knew how to do that kind of shit.
Are you gonna
But I
do
don't have the
TikTok
time,
or
dude. I don't have the
Twitch
time or the wherewithal. I'm too old. I'm like, I don't know. I'd rather just make music.
Right. So you're not gonna like stream yourself playing video games. You don't do any of that
Yeah,
stuff.
dude. No, I can't. I've tried. Listen, I've had so many thoughts of like, how could I make more money? I'm doing it the best way I know how. I'm doing, guest spots on songs. I'm doing handwritten lyrics. Like, to me, that's in my wheelhouse. For me to like film myself 24/7, do it. I can't do that. I don't want to be on camera. And I respect people that do it. Like, love that, Matt Heafy, one of the hardest working dudes I know, like, amazing. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't turn on a camera at like noon and be like, check me out. I just would be like, ugh. I don't know. It takes a certain type of person, I guess. And I just cherish my like privacy and my alone time more than I do like making gobs of money, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. It's you got to get in where you fit in, and whatever
Yeah.
but it is okay to challenge yourself here and there. Like I went down the whole because we have a little YouTube presence. Like YouTube's probably our smallest batch of listeners. It's hard to get even, you get a great video like with Miles Kennedy or Sebastian Bach. It's hard to get even 100 people to hit the like button on it.
Yeah.
But I have been looking into some of these other what do you call it? Like I'm back on X, and I think I might be getting past the shadow ban. So I'm looking into putting the podcast up there. Like I have 5 subscribers on there. I just got I got a deposit in my account, and I go, what the hell is this? And it said from X.
Wow.
And same thing with, so I think if you did all of them and you have a little bit of a base, and then you're also maybe giving them teaser tracks or previews of, say, bands you're collaborating with, like, and talk about the process, then I think they would all add up into something
I would need
meaningful.
somebody to like handle that though. Like, that's too much. I get overwhelmed, dude. I get overwhelmed, and then like I go into freeze mode where I just can't do anything for days. That's the kind of person I am. It gets overwhelming. I'd have to have somebody handle it for me. But yeah, I got to rewind, dude. That Sebastian Bach episode, I was driving around doing errands, going to the hardware store, and I tuned in, and I loved that episode. I love that, dude. I grew up listening to Skid Row. Just him, he's such a character. He's one of the last remaining like real rockers that just from that era that is still like in a good way, like just crazy.
Yes.
And what a voice, dude. I enjoy that episode so much just because you could tell he doesn't give a shit. What you see is what you get with that dude. Love it.
And the flip out about the camera, like his camera looked worse than how we had it.
Yeah.
Did you? I don't know if you stayed towards the end.
I didn't see it. I just heard it. I didn't watch it. I just heard it in my truck.
Because he wanted his camera to be a certain way, and so people think we did that to him, but we didn't. Like here's the thing: if someone, I don't know what his last outburst was, but it was like, I think it was like "fuck America" or something. I don't care. Remember Exploited had "fuck the USA." I don't care.
I don't care either.
It's but that doesn't make me a bad person. I just choose to focus on different things. Someone's saying there's literally 5 million people ahead of Sebastian Bach doing worse things to America that you can focus on. And you know what I mean?
I'm one of those people people need to chill the fuck out. Like, I'm just so tired of everyone getting so upset over every single thing. Like, let people talk. I mean, within reason. Obviously, I'm not talking about like the extreme side of things. But like, if someone has a little bit of an outburst and they say something that sucks, like, okay, fine. And then we move on. Like, you can hold people accountable for certain things when it's harming people. But if someone's just having some like random outburst, get over it. It's like comedians too. Like, laugh. It's a comedian. Shut up. Like, I'm one of those people. I'm old school. I grew up in the Northeast like you did. My sense of humor is dark. I think shit's funny. To me, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, come on, man. I don't know. I'm one of those people. I don't care that much. Let people be free. Let them say what they want. I don't like when people are taking away other people's freedoms. I don't like that shit. I don't like cancel culture. I don't like any of that. Unless, again, we're talking extremes. If you're talking about, sexual abuse or like the extreme stuff, sure, hold people accountable. But when it's like someone says "fuck America" or what, like, who cares? Who cares? How many people say that shit on a regular basis? How does that affect you? That's my thing too. Is like, how does it affect you? Who cares?
Right, but to me, it could be anything. You could say like "fuck Kraft macaroni and cheese," like. But then what happens is, and shout out to anybody out there. I know we got a bunch of listeners with a touch of the tism, and I love my tisms out there. Shout out to everybody. But when someone has a touch of the tism, what happens is that they view a person and they define a person by the one thing that the person said that they didn't like, or they view it by like the rumor. Like, imagine if you were Richard Gere, that poor bastard, because that shit wasn't even true. Sylvester Stallone started that Richard Gere rumor.
It's kind of wild how that sticks, though, right? It's wild because I know exactly what you're talking about. It's kind of fucked up that people do that to other people, man. Like, and that's another thing too. Is like, you just never know what's true and what's not either. I mean, obviously, if you see the outburst and you see the person doing it, that's one thing. But if someone just starts a rumor, most people automatically assume guilty, right? Yeah, I know that's just how it goes. Somebody's, accused of something. Majority of people like, that guy's an asshole or that girl's an asshole, and it sticks. Even if somewhere down the line it's proven to not be true, that sticks. That sucks. I hope that never happens to me.
Right, but also, like, the internet isn't real. So what people have to realize is that you can. When I did the Bach episode, I'm glad we held it for as long as we did, because there was another outburst online involving his wife, and I felt really bad, and he was in a vulnerable moment. Yeah. And I love Bach, and so I didn't want to look like we were trying to capitalize.
That's a very human moment, dude. At the same time, too, like, you got to understand, like, people have those moments. Unfortunately, it just aired it out there for all to see, but like, we could all relate to like insecurities, and like, that shit happens to everybody. It's just when you have like some type of a celebrity, it's going to get aired out there. And to me, that sucks, man. Like, people should be able to make mistakes. People should be able to have human moments and be forgiven. Like, I hate that it stays. It sucks. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But I love the dude. I think he's iconic, and
absolutely.
And to me, he seems like a good guy that just doesn't like to take any bullshit.
And if he's in disagreement with any of our listeners' worldview or whatever, then it could just be that that's his bubble, and you're not on the same wavelength. So maybe you need to plead your case in a different way, or maybe you don't need to plead your case at all, and you just let him be, and you do your thing. Like, if he thinks Joe Biden is the smartest, sharpest, greatest president that ever was, what do I care if that's the news that he was watching, or if that's the fucking bubble that he's in? I might not have the tools or the information to change it. And why should I? Who cares? I want to just hear him rock, hear his voice. It's one of a kind. But yeah, I think
we get so tied up in semantics. I just feel like a lot of people have too much time on their hands.
I think it's a touch of the tism too. I think a lot of the comments are people who get they might have a touch of OCD or a touch of a deficit disorder or a touch of a tism of some time. And much love to all those people, because there are people who write me every day like, yo, you're on fucking Timmy Tangent on this episode, and I'm like, they want to diagnose me from an episode, and I'm like, no, this is not how life works.
In the same breath, some of those people are absolutely brilliant and are changing the world. I know people that they're on the spectrum, and they're some of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life. So there's a place for that as well. But I guess just for me, in general, people just need to let certain things go and like don't care so much. Focus on other things. There's so many other things you'd be focusing on.
And that could be their superpower. So right there, that probably is their superpower. So instead of using that superpower to zone in on something that somebody says on every comment, go find what your superpower is and hone in on that. And don't worry about Bach, because his superpower is fucking them pipes hitting fucking I remember you and hitting Slave to the Grind. But Jesse, great to see you. Great to catch up. Everybody go get This Consequence February 21st. And yeah, I think my two standout tracks are the two that I mentioned, Abandon Us and what was the other one? I want to say it was Where It Dies.
Sick.
What are yours? What are you if they do you just listen to it like an album? Do you start it and go all the way through?
Yeah. I mean, I guess standout tracks for me, Broken Glass, because it's so different. Aftermath, because it feels
owe Kirk a sandwich on that one though. Bro.
Yeah,
Title Police. I gotta
dude, most people owe Kirk a sandwich. Kirk's the riff lord. I love Kirk, and he's one of the best to do it. But I'd say Aftermath too, because it feels like a punk rock anthem. And then people are might clown on me, but I love that song. It is the softest song on the record, but I stand behind it. I love that song.
Well, it's going to be a big song for sure. Little prom core, but hey, listen, the prom is
dude. Some of those dudes did not want it on the record. I fought hard for that song because you have to have one of those songs. Come on, man, it's Killswitch.
Yeah,
you got all the bangers, and then you have the song where people are like, "Oh yeah."
Be like, hey, this one where you should have said this one's gonna. I'm gonna change the title to "When the Check Comes." when the check comes, everybody likes the.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate the time, bro.
This is fun, man. I knew it'd be fun. Always a pleasure, my friend. I'm sure we'll see each other down the road. And thank you, everybody who gives a shit about Killswitch. I appreciate you.
We do. We appreciate you, brother. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Peace.
Take care. If you are still listening or watching, thank you so much. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and support our sponsors. Big thanks to Upstate New York Records. That's upstateny.com. You'll see they release bands like Freya, Brick by Brick. They got new singles coming out this month and next month. You'll see it all at upstateny.com. The link will be in the show notes, as well as the coupon code. And thank you so much to everybody who's gotten their tickets to Milwaukee Metal Fest. I will see you May 15th through the 18th over in beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We got a lot of stuff to still be announced, but listen, go get your Valentine's tickets right now at metalfest.com or therave.com/metalfest. You know who's going to be there, right? IndieMerchStore.com. Big thanks to IndieMerchStore.com. They'll have a big booth set up over there. Who knows? Maybe they'll have a stage that they'll be presenting. Go to IndieMerchStore.com. Use the promo code JASTA10, and you will save 10%. Maybe you want to pre-order that new Cradle of Filth that they got ready to drop. Also, thank you to Unbeaten Records. Go to unbeaten.merchnow.com. Use the promo code Unbeaten15 and you'll save 15%. Got to shout out my Patreon, patreon.com/Jasta. Tons of extra content over there. Podcasts you'll never hear in public because it's too juicy, too much good stuff, too much insider information, too many secrets, too many trade secrets that are helping bands survive and thrive. I mean, we'll see. Sometimes we like to under-promise and over-deliver, but sometimes you got to over-promise and get some sign-ups too. You know what I'm saying, Buster? Lastly, got to give another shout-out to blastbeatsvinyl.com. Make sure you check out some killer limited edition vinyl. Add it to your collection when you visit blastbeatsvinyl.com. A killer mom and pop one-stop shop holding it down over in New Jersey. Use the code JASTA10. Link is always in the show notes. Thanks again, everybody. I will be back with an episode of the How Awesome Is This podcast with my buddy Howard Jones and my buddy Charlie Belmore. It's going to be a good time. You could have heard it way sooner if you're signed up over at gasdigital.com or patreon.com/Jasta, but it's all good. We will have some new episodes being recorded very soon, and we'll be back with those. We got Keith Buckley coming on. We got Daryl from Snapcase coming on with Keith, the Buffalo Boys. They got a big Buffalo show coming up. Make sure you support them. All right. I love you all. Thank you all. Drink your coffee. Do your push-ups. Listen to Necrot. Bye-bye.
Executive producers, AJ Lewis, John Hankus, Garrett Keeping, Nick Torito, JJ Hernandez, Jason Jarvis, Chris Larice, Larry Tooley, Nick Fowler, Daniel Burt, Adam Mecklenburg, Dallas Bolin, Kyle Marg, Morgan Costner, Dominique Zimmer, Kenneth Moore, Benjamin Lee, Jake Olszewski, Mark Tagg, Niall Schollard, Kathy D'Ambrosio, Justin Stephen, Dan Sullivan, Jack Flanders, Mark Loikitz, Fernando Somoza, Andy Wilson, Jeffrey Kewen, Brian Underkoffler, Jay Liberston, Zachary Liberston, Katie Day, The Maniac Diehard, Robert Pushaw, Jason Duran, Steve Deterting, Dan Ryan, Ethan Assault, Alex Queller, Emma Horgan, Clint Smith, Mike Horgan, Chad Longworth, Mark Horror-Amenta, Chris Winchester, Anthony Luzzi, Nathan Rex Madrid, Samuel Angeli, Chris Shea, Jacob Arensberg, Chad Green, Matthew Yankowskis, Jamie Kutcher, Stephen Helm, Andy, Jared DeWeese, Ryan Levson, Mike Murray, Jonathan Mettis.